This meeting is being live streamed. Then I need to go to my channel. So hey everyone, you probably are seeing this already.
Hi Joe.
Hey John, how you doing?
Good.
Happy Friday.
Yeah, you too. So I'm checking your YouTube channel to see when it will be streamed on that channel.
And I need to mute. Live. We'll see if anyone's around. There's our mute. Great. I've been just FYI, obviously, because I include you on some of the stuff when I learn it in Directory Opus, playing with it more. And yeah, it's a cool program.
Mm-hmm. A lot of stuff.
Yeah, there were a couple things that that I'm used to that I want to keep doing a certain way, but yeah, I can see how it's in the long run going to be much better at than Explorer.
What is good at, but when you do it too much, that's not good, is to have, you can have two panes and many tabs inside each pane.
Right.
So it's like in Chrome, I can have 3 Chromes open with 10 tabs in each. So, but it's good to have, it gives the ability to multitask. So task switching is easy that way.
Let me see if I can pull up the push bullet. I brought it into my my main script, I think, but let me share my let me move this over to the screen I normally look at, just so it'll be more normal for me. So that call we had a couple of weeks ago where we were chatting, and I'm like, I want to be able to hit a hotkey and bring up this push bullet tool because it disappears into the system tray, and that was just a fun one of like, we at that call we both were like, well, when you close this, it doesn't have a window because it's closing it and it's not minimizing, it's closing the GUI and disappears the system tray. You can't loop over the windows and do anything with it. So if I hit minimize, it actually keeps the GUI. You can't see it, but there's still a GUI. Now I found a couple posts. I don't have the links here because they didn't end up working, but there are ways to monitor to say disable this close button. And I tried it like with Notepad and with Studio, and it worked great where you could disable that. However, whatever push bullet's written with, it doesn't allow it to do that. So I was looking for other ways, and Tank mentioned, because I couldn't see it separately with the Windows guy, he finally said, it's stupid, but you could get the coordinates of this button, and when you're over it, basically intercept that clicking of it, right? And I'm like, that would still achieve my goal, right? Which is I can't stop myself from hitting close when I'm in here.
Yeah,
I always want to hit close. So, and this was the code that actually just toggles it from. I have it in my main script now, I think, but Alt P brings it up, and it'll just toggle if it's there or not, so I can quickly pull it up, type a text, and have it disappear. And was I talking to you about it or someone else? Someone said they don't send a lot of text. I'm like, neither did I until I could use my computer.
I remember.
And now I text, like a 12-year-old. I mean, like I'm texting all the time because I can type. It really changed my behaviors.
We don't have questions, and we don't have Tom with us today.
No, right?
No, yeah. So we won't have questions from his people. Yeah. Today, if you want, until we have questions, or I could show you the changes, Access Popup, the latest version. One of the changes is related to a suggestion that you made a few weeks ago, or a month or two maybe, and other changes are about the dark mode, and we discussed that. I'm not sure if it was at our last live support last Friday. It was maybe
that was
in the last webinar, but we were talking about how to enable dark mode in AutoHotkey application or scripts. And there's been a good development on that on the AutoHotkey forum with a few lines of code from Lexicos that really solve the issue on how to display quick access, how to display AutoHotkey menu in dark mode. So that's quite easy to do once you know it. I was looking for that for months because users of Quick Access Popup, which is made in AutoHotkey, using the Windows dark mode that is more and more popular with Windows 10. They asked me if Quick Access Popup could have a dark menu because the white menu on their dark screen was really too bright. So yeah, so that's been implemented in the latest release. I implemented that as a beta feature. It's not a beta release only for beta users, but it's a feature that I'm not sure if it will work exactly as expected because it needs to be tested, I think, on various computers. So the first echo that I received on the Quick Access Popup forum were good, that it worked well. So I could demonstrate that to you. And the other thing is the debugging. So when you use placeholders or user variables inside your favorites in Quick Access Popup, you can preview what will be the result of your placeholders or user variables before enabling your favorite. So that's what I could show you. We have someone joining us.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like Brian.
Hi, Brian.
Brian, let us know if you have any particular questions or something you're working on. Jean was just...
You can write it on the chat if you wish.
Yeah, if
or open your mic. So I'll share my screen and show you these changes. Yeah. I'll show you on my developer's computer, not my demo environment, because enabling dark mode in Windows requires Windows to be registered, and my demo environment is not registered yet, so that's why I'll use this. So the screen is larger. Hope you'll be able to see it.
What an interesting thing, though, that they have that restriction. That is.
Yeah, there's a few restrictions until you're registered. So they went into insight registration. Yeah. So first, well, let's talk about dark mode. So you have to enable dark mode in Windows, and Quick Access Popup will react to the fact that you enable dark mode in Windows. That's how it works. So you could enable dark mode in Quick Access Popup it will not change anything by itself. It has to be also changed in Windows. And what's good is that if you work in a dark environment, you can switch Windows to dark mode. Quick Access Popup will follow. You'll have to reboot to restart Quick Access Popup just to catch the changes. And if you switch to working outside with a bright environment, you can disable dark mode, and Quick Access Popup will also follow these changes. So to change that in Windows, so you have to go into the settings. This is in French, but you will recognize, I think in English, it is personalize or customize, not sure. Yeah. And then you select colors here. And you have a choice here at the top where you can choose dark, light, I think in English, or dark. If you choose dark here, the application and the applications that comply to the Windows dark mode will switch to dark mode. The background here of the taskbar will be dark. So both application and Windows will be dark or will be clear if you switch back. It will be light, I think, in English, if you switch back to light. But there's also personalized, and that's what I usually prefer. I prefer to always have the Windows dark. So for example, the taskbar that I have on the right on my screen, tips that you gave me some time ago, Joe, that I like very much, but it would be the same if the taskbar was at the bottom. So it will switch, as you can see, the dark mode for Windows components. And the second choice is for applications. So this is an application, Notepad is an application. So you can switch them to dark. I'm not sure if Notepad is dark mode compliant. We can check that, but here it's switched to dark. So everything is dark. So that's how we select the dark mode, and we have to make sure that we select dark here, or at least here. If you prefer to have Windows light and your apps dark, it's possible. But let's take everything dark here. So, and now in Quick Access Pop-up, it doesn't change anything if you do not enable the dark mode. So to enable the dark mode, you have to go in two places, because there are two settings. There's one setting for the menus and one setting for the customized window where we are here. And I prefer to have the two separate, because if something goes wrong, because it's new, something goes wrong on one side, because it's two different techniques that are used to do these two dark mode. So the first one is for the customized window. So in options, customized window, and you enable here dark mode support for customized window. And the second setting is under menu appearance, where you will select here dark mode support for the menus. And you save it. It will ask to restart Quick Access Pop-up, not for the menu, but for the customized window. It needs to be restarted because everything has to be redrawn, and it's been restarted here. So you see now Quick Access Pop-up in dark mode. Not everything is dark, and I don't have much control on some component that could not be made dark. For example, the title bar, we don't have a technique yet. Maybe someone will find it at some point and will be able to use it. The header of the list view also here is still light, but the general view is dark. So it does not flash as much as before when you're using a dark background, which I don't have at this time, but users with dark mode will often have a very dark background, so it will blend more adequately with your environment. And for the menu, so when I open the menu will be dark, as you can see here, as well as the sub menu. I'll just put it away here. Come on. Okay, my little glitch. So as well as the submenus here. Also, the menu inside the customized window are dark. Nice. So if you need to change, if you want to change it, if you change it in Windows, so let's return to the customize, to the settings in Windows.
And John, I mean, I obviously I don't care what you actually call it, but it's better to say you're enabling following Windows themes, right? Is what you're doing, because, but I understand why you named it what you did. Yeah.
It's not exactly the theme, because I don't think that it will follow all the colors that you select here. So I'm not sure. I would have to do more tests. It's something new for me to play with this. And I understand your comment about the text. I had some thoughts on that, and that's what I use in the end, but it still can be improved. I didn't send the text to the translators yet until it's fixed. So thank you for your comment. So if we switch back here to light, the Quick Access Pop-up menu will automatically become light. Awesome. Not requiring to be restart, but for the customized window, you need to restart Quick Access Pop-up to have the change to be taken. I have something going wrong with my mouse. Restart here. Okay. And now it restart in light mode. So I'll put back Windows the way I prefer. And that's, so what you have to remember is to change it in Windows. No, that's the opposite. I want this light and this dark. And to remember two options, one under customize and one under menu appearance here. So that's for this first change. Did you receive any question before, or I can continue with my other changes? Okay. The other changes, and I just show you the page where I list the changes on the Quick Access Pop-up forum. So dark mode, I covered that. Drag and drop in customized window, there was a bug that I found recently. You can move items in the customized window by using drag and drop here, for example. But if you were selecting more than one item, you could drag them here, but the change of the drag and drop was not saved properly in the menu itself. So when you reloaded, only one of the three was at the right place, the other were elsewhere. So a bad bug that I haven't catch before, but it's now fixed. So you can drag and drop one at a time, or many contiguous items at the time. So I'll move all these at the top here. And it can also be for non-contiguous items if you use control click. So they will all be moved together, and all this will be properly saved to the object model behind, so to the menu. For example, if we preview the menu here, we see the changes that we've done by moving these items at the bottom here. Here and below. So I'll just cancel these changes. So that was about the customized window. And your request, Joe, is about placeholders and user variables. So if I summarize, placeholders are codes that you can insert in your favorite. I will show it with this example here, which is a notepad favorite to open notepad, where you can insert placeholders here in the parameters. So you go in advanced setting, and in parameters, you can enter a parameter that is a placeholder. And this one is cell lock. So it will enter the location of the file or the folder that is selected in your Windows Explorer window when you when you launch this item. So if I open here, I have a file here, which is a text file. So if I open the quick access pop-up menu for this item here, which is notepad with placeholder, what it will do normally, and it will do it now because the debugging option is not enabled. So what it will do, it will open the file that is selected, which is demo text hello, because that's the file that you select here. If I select another file, let's say I select my batch here, it will open my batch. It's a kind of extension. Instead of having to enter items, this way of using placeholders, instead of left clicking and trying to add your application or your script in the context menu, you can enter it in the quick access pop-up menu. And instead of right clicking, you middle click if you keep the default key to open the quick access pop-up menu, and you select the item that you want to use with this placeholder. There are many other placeholders. You can have one for entering the clipboard, dates and everything, many other things. But the point here is that if you use it, it will work. But if it doesn't work the way you expected, you wonder what's going wrong. And maybe that's something that happened to you when you made this suggestion. I have another placeholder here, which is selected directory, that will open the application here, notepad, with this default folder. Okay, so these are two placeholders, and I would like to see the result of this before using the favorite. So what you have to do first is to make sure that the debugging is enabled. It's something that is more advanced. So I don't want to have beginning users to wonder about debugging because they're not necessarily ready to, unless they really need it, they won't go to placeholders in the first usage.
I was going to say, yeah, they're already somewhat advanced doing that, but anyway, I understand.
So what you have to do is go to the options here and enable favorite debugging for placeholders and user variables. When you enable that globally, what it will do do nothing by itself, but it will add a checkbox here in the basic settings of most of your favorites. So it does not apply to special folders like my computer, because there's no place to use the placeholders there. But for application, documents, folders, snippets, sure, you can now enable the debugging. And when you do it and save it, Now, instead of opening the file, the Notepad application with the parameter, it will just display what will be executed.
That's awesome.
So the command with placeholder and user variables inserted, I have no user variable here, but if I would have it, I could, for example, have this drop, no, not here, but so could also include user variables. So you see the path of the application that is entered in the favorite is Notepad. So that's a full path here. And the parameter is the file that was selected here. So C Dropbox QAP demo, demotext.txt. And the starting folder is the placeholder. If you remember, it was cell dir, so selected directory. So the directory where the file is selected, so which is QAP demo here. So you see Dropbox QAP demo. And when you click OK, it does nothing. It's just debugging. If you're ready with your placeholder doing what you expect it to do, you have to return here, remove the debugging option, save it, and now you can use it for real.
Cool.
Okay.
Can you turn it back on, please, for a moment, and then bring that up?
Yep.
And then I'm gonna first off, I like how you kind of took like the whole on an Android phone, you know, you can't automatically do stuff. You have to go into dev mode or whatever by, you know, configuring it to allow you to be a developer and to do stuff, that's kind of what you're doing there of like, hey, you know what, let's not confuse people that don't need to see this stuff and might do something by accident. So that's awesome. Now in here, two suggestions or questions is, and I don't know if you have it available, it might be cool to see line after line of like, here's that thing with the placeholders in, you know, the placeholders, and right next to it is the actual what's going to be submitted to remind you of like, oh, and the second one, unless you're already doing it, is I would love having that copied to the clipboard, because I know normally I wouldn't do that, but since you're in debug mode, I think it'd be okay to automatically have that copied to the clipboard, because sometimes that text might be hard to read and it might be better in a bigger editor.
Okay.
But that's still so much better, because you can start very quickly seeing what's wrong with your code, you know,
that's the basic. So it solves the need to see what's going on, because if the application is launched and the file you expected is not there, there's nothing, it's hard to know exactly what happened. So with this, you know it before. And and the other way to use it in snippet, for example, if you insert a user variable, you can also use the debugging. And to show it to you, I'll just go to my second example here, which shows another improvement in the latest version 11.5.2. is a good suggestion that I received recently, and I say, yes, we really need it. So you know that in snippets, you can insert placeholders, and one of the placeholders is input. So what it does, it will open an input box where the user can type something that will be inserted there. So it allows to reuse the same snippet for various needs, just when only one thing changed. For example, the first name of the person you want to send the text. So you want to insert his first name here in the first line. But what was suggested is there a way to reuse the content of what has been input here later in the text? So for example, hi, Joe. Right. In the end, I could say bye, Joe. Okay. So the way I implemented that, I think is quite easy, is that the prompt here that you enter, the prompt that you, and I'll show it how it works first. Okay, let's open an editor, and I will use this snippet with input, and it asks me for what's the first name. And if I say Joe, it will enter I, Joe, as the result of the input placeholder here. And before this release, that was it. There was no way to reuse your first name. But now if you enter a user variable, that I call it a temporary user variable, because it's to be used as user variables, but it is available only in this favorite, in this snippet. And the name of the user variable, which is between curly brackets, is the prompt that you entered here, including the question mark if you have a question mark here. So that way you could reuse as many times as you wish. And I will just do this.
Yeah, I do that with my, like invitations for the webinar and this and that is I have the date, or the topic, and I reuse it multiple times. But yeah, absolutely. You'd want to, why not, right? Yeah, have it available. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was very easy to implement. It was just to have the good ID that was suggested by users. A lot of IDs, a lot of changes in Quick Access Popup comes from users on the Quick Access Popup forum. So that's this change here, reusable input placeholder. And that's it, what's new in the latest Quick Access Popup release.
So for those of you who don't know, so Quick Access Popup, it's written in AutoHotkey, but you don't have to know AutoHotkey, right? Now, and Jean probably maybe remembers the first time he showed me, because we were talking about his one of his other libraries, and he's like, "Hey, you tried my other tool, right? Quick Access Popup?" Like, I don't know what that is. And then I don't remember. I don't think you and I were talking on like Zoom and stuff then. You just sent me a link and I started playing with it. I was like, holy cow. I wish I had learned about this tool years ago, because I was creating my own GUIs and menus and reorganizing them, moving them, creating them isn't the end of the world. But then when you realize, oh, this should be up here and this should be down here, it's really not fun doing that manually. And QAP negates, besides 8 million other things, it negates that part like that. It's so easy, and it does so many other things. But it's a great tool that I use more and more and more and more. Yeah, it's a wonderful tool. But
thank you, Joe. And yes, it's written in AutoHotkey, as you said. So if you're interested in the code that I'm using, we can show for dark mode. There's a AutoHotkey code that we can look at if you are interested in how to do that. It's on the AutoHotkey forum. I'll post the link to this page. We have a question I've seen from Dale. Maybe that's what you're reading.
That's what I was reading. Yeah.
Hi, yeah. Dale. Happy to see you with us. Yeah, so when adding a favorite for a file, can the short name for the menu include the file extension? It would have to be an option, because at this time, if I'm opening the customize window here, I'm not sharing. I'll share. Okay. When you add a favorite folder or favorite document, let's use a document for this example, and you select a file, Quick Access Popup will enter the file that you selected here, but it will automatically suggest here a name that is the name that will be used in the menu. So I will put this item here just at the top. So we can see that license here is at the top. If I save it, that's the name of that appear in the menu. The suggestion from Dale is that why could we keep the extension here? So I think that most of the time you don't really need the extension. If it's an Excel document, you will have to type that's a report for a monthly report, The .xlsx is not necessarily required most of the time, but I understand that you can want it here. But yeah, at this time you would have to just add the extension manually. There could be an option, but it's not available at this time.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Jean, it also automatically borrows the icon of the program that's associated to it, doesn't it?
Yes, if it's known in the environment. Here it's a text document, but if it was a Word or an Excel document, I can just switch.
Yeah, I picked up a new project I'm working on, and I created, links to different folders for that project, and then a link to a spreadsheet that for me and Maestrieth were working and put in our hours. And when I added that Excel spreadsheet, I was happy to see like, hey, I don't have to go back and add that Excel icon just to help me, because that's what I wanted to use, right? I love those icons.
Yeah, Quick Access Popup will rely on the registration, if you wish, of the icons in Windows. So when you install an application, if it's done complying with Windows good practices, the application will be registered and the icon will be registered in the registry of Windows, and that's the way Quick Access Popup can find what's the icon associated to this extension. If it was it's an Excel file, if it was an Excel file with macros, so it will be XLS, I think XM, not sure, maybe just no X like this. So then the extension would be different because there are different extensions for various type of Excel files. So yes, that's also something that is done when you add something that is done automatically. But again, for the name here, the name does not include the extension. You would have to add it manually. If yeah, I didn't copy it. But
yeah, Dale, I just stopped using it then. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, that's awesome.
So thank you, Dale, for the question and the suggestion. I'll take a note about that.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, to me, Jean, from my preference would be not to have it, because I might have a bunch of files with this. You often have a bunch of files with the same extensions, and it would just be extra noise. However, and the fact is, you can add it or remove them. Either way you go, right? It's still something we can adapt. So there's no bad approach. Brian, did you? I think now remember. If I remember last week, you I think joined but couldn't get your mic to work. Was that you? Someone had joined but the mic wasn't working. Or not. Anyone else got anything they're working on and want to share? Let me see if my I'm actually in the middle of releasing a bunch of tools, and I was having an interesting problem with one of them this morning, and Chad started helping me with it. Maestrith was helping me with it. Let me share my screen again and show the tool that there's a little something wrong with it. Let me see, and I think apps key H. No, it's this one. So this is a tool, and right now it's saying, hey, there's no hotkeys in these two files, which is perfectly fine. But this will go through every running AutoHotkey script and pull in, if there is a hotkey or a hot string, it'll pull it in here. And what was really fascinating is I was doing this, and then I happened to look down, and right now I think I haven't commented out, which is why that other thing didn't work. But let me move this over here for a second, just because I don't necessarily want to share everything in that file. Here we go. So these two need to be enabled. I'm going to save it. I'm not even going to relaunch that other script. I'll show you why here. I'm going to reload this one, and here we'll see it. It's reading the files. So here we see the apps key and just twice, right? And what's interesting is if we look at it, the apps key in G is only once, and there is no H, even though this goes G to G and then IJ. And it was like, this is so weird. And I kept playing with it. And it turns out we haven't quite troubleshot it yet, but there's some sort of a problem with the regular expression that we're parsing of your hotkeys and hot strings. And here we can filter. So I can say, let me only look at apps keys, right? Or anything that has apps in it. We can filter by whether you want hot strings or hot keys or all, or the file we're looking at. And then if you have certain errors like that one, you can tell it which files. Like I didn't want to search my spell check because 4,000 words in it. I didn't want that in my list of hot strings because it's just, that'd be kind of crazy. But this to me is going to be a really cool tool for people that are new to AutoHotkey, that they start building stuff and then they can't remember. And so you can pull this thing up and quickly type and filter. And let's say you want to edit it, you can double click and it will open up my other screen. It will jump to it in your editor and allow you to fix it. Good. And let me bring over a couple here just with the screenshot to show you how it works. And like I said, I have like 5 that I'm working on to release. But what it does is it looks for the hotkey, what it does, and then looks to the right. So an inline comment, that's what's going to get brought up into here, right? So you have to build that into your script. So once you do, holy cow, it's really helpful, right? So it's a great, easy way to be able to remember what you like. With me, I have so many hotkeys in hot strings that it's just.
Dale is asking if you can sort the columns.
Absolutely.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, that was one we made sure we could sort on anything. You can also type in here, like I think we can use like the control, C. You can I don't know if I can type control. No, but it goes off the if you did the alt whatever. Right, so it's using the actual things, which is I prefer, but yeah, it's and like I said, it shows you where it is, and if you double click it, it will jump to that script. It's opening on my other. It'll jump to that script and where it is in like almost any editor you're using. So it's pretty slick. Yeah.
And in the end, is the apps key H working by itself? It's just an issue in your list where it's not properly displayed. Okay, so the file is not displayed in your list.
Yeah. I saw question Joe answer to I submit an enhanced request because I use the extension on all.
That's Dale saying that what he asked us before, it will become a change request for quick access pop-up.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
And then there's this question about sorting the columns in your hotkey string lookup.
Yeah. Now the other one, let me launch the other one. That there's several I'm really excited about, but let me. I don't know if let me pull over Studio because I don't think I have a hotkey for launching this one yet. The AutoHotkey help. So this one, let me launch it. And right now, I got to go to the preferences. That's on the other screen. But so let me change it to Windows F1. So let's say I was in Notepad and we had X, and I can highlight this and hit Windows F1.
There's an R.
It's a fuzzy match, which is also great.
There's a typo in what you type.
Which is why it didn't come up with the videos because it didn't
found something else.
So let me reg X. So Windows F1. So this will, in any editor you're in, it'll pull up AutoHotkey's documentation help. But notice this tab, which this is something we're generating all this HTML and building it, and this will have videos on the topic, hopefully, of what you're looking for. So
you're launching 2 queries, one on the AutoHotkey help, the first tab, and the other one on YouTube or various video sites, or?
No, it's just YouTube, and it's specific to only certain channels. Like I have Tab Nation, so Tom, who's not here, and Isaiah's channel and my channel. And if people have other of good quality, it's just there's a lot of ones that are not so good quality. So I was trying to keep it a little restrictive, but it does search only those channels. It does. So the other thing is, because you might look up for a word like, let's say, functions, and that if you just do a search on YouTube for functions, you get a ton of non-AutoHotkey stuff. So these are kind of AutoHotkey specific channels, which helps negate that issue. So I think that one's going to be pretty cool.
That's cool.
I have some other ones, like I said, but those are these are tools that are for people that are new to AutoHotkey that are really, I think, going to be very helpful. Another one is the edit swap. Let me see if I can launch it. So this keeps track of your past AutoHotkey editors, and I could easily switch and say, oh, I want to change my default editor to Notepad. So now when I hit Control-Alt-E, which is built into my main script, it pulls it up in Notepad. But if I change this to say,
you change the association of the excuse me,
and you can add new. But now when I do it, it'll load it. And Studio is on the other page, of course, but it loads it in Studio because I said that is my default editor. So
for the AHK extension.
Right. you know, sometimes you're working on someone else's computer and you don't want to change that default editor because it's not always. Now you still use Sight, correct, Sean?
Yeah.
If I'm going from memory, but in Sight, when you install it, I can't remember if it automatically assigns itself as the default editor or it asks you. I know it's one of the two. Do you recall?
I don't know. It's a long time ago.
Okay, yeah, me too. And I was just lazy and didn't reinstall it. But yeah, so that's another one. Trying to remember what the other one is. The Script Hub, which actually, we might as well demonstrate that one. Let me bring it over here. I don't think it's running right now, but apps key H should. Oh, I think that's one that's. I didn't reload my script. Ironically, let me launch it now. Apps key H. Oh, that's actually pointing to the wrong thing now. Out of this, guys. That's the hotkey string lookup. You can also disable hotkeys in that. I think just hotkeys. I don't think hot strings. And then in Studio, because I have it open, and if anyone has any questions, feel free to, of course, jump in, and not on this. I mean on anything. The Script Hub. So the Script Hub. So this wheel, it allows you to look at any script, any AutoHotkey script that's running, and allows you to say you can open the folder, reload it, edit it, pause it, suspend, or exit. You can also close all the scripts, which I don't think most people would almost ever want to do, but it's there, and then reload the script. But it's like this window snipping tool. I don't have a system tray icon for that. And so pulling it up live is difficult. And so this makes it very convenient. And it's interesting is even QAP comes up in the executable. I don't think I could edit it, but it does pull it up. But yeah, that's another fun one that if you're like me and have a lot of scripts running, it's a great, easy way, especially when they're hidden. It'll be a great, convenient way to do those. So does anyone have anything they're working on? Anyone they want to share?
I have another topic which is related to high resolution screens.
Ooh,
and I don't have a solution. I just have a problem to expose. And I can show you by an example here in Quick Access Popup. Here, maybe by going back, I think I was on that page before. No, it's here. Yeah, it's here. These are old screen captures, but it shows the problem that was reported at that time from users having HDPI screens, so high resolution screens. For example, Surface Book have these screens, and there are more and more of them.
Agreed.
And I don't know much about DPI scaling and things like that, but the scaling effect that is that you can set when you use these screens can make the Quick Access Pop-up screen that would normally look like that. You see the buttons size here. On these screens, the buttons will be very small. So I'm not sure if I understand it correctly. Tell me if you know more about that, but there's a scaling effect that is used to make the application bigger because the screen is so large and the resolution is so fine that your application could be very small. So you want to enlarge that to see it better. But as I understand, the graphic images inside the GUIs are not resized, so they still are small, which is very strange. So, and in some other screen, it will just make the GUI messy. It will put things on top of other things. So it just break. It can break the. So the solution that I have for now is that you can in Windows disable the scaling effect here. So you go in the property of the executable file, so quick access popup.exe that you will find probably under your program files folder, and you right click the executable file, compatibility, change IDIP DPI settings, and here you will override the scaling behavior performed by, and here you select system. I don't know exactly what would be the effect for if you choose application or system enhanced.
Right.
And my problem is that I don't have this type of screen, so I
Right.
cannot test it.
Yes.
And maybe at some point I'll buy a Surface Book or a screen with high resolution, but for now I don't. So I cannot test it, and I try to find solutions or some codes, for example, on the AutoHotkey forum on how to detect if it is an high resolution screen and what to do with that. But there's very little that has been written about that. So I'm just launching this question. Maybe someone here has info about that, or someone that will read it later can come back to us with some tips about that. But that's to me, you know, when you do an application that you distribute to a lot of people, there's a lot of configurations where your application has to run on, and sometimes it makes it hard to test it for every environment.
Absolutely. So I got a few things to comment on this, Jean. First off, thank you so much for actually showing that your temporary fix, or however you want to say it, right? Not a perfect fix, but at least it negates it in some ways, right? Because I didn't know that was a thing, because I have that come up with some of my GUIs, and people ask, how do I get around this? And I'm like, I'm not, you know,
with the result is, it seems that the result is not necessarily nice when you enable that.
Right, but
it's not your application is not as crispy or nice as the other application, because there's something that is maybe lowering the quality of the screen. Not sure exactly what's happening with that, but that's but at least you can see what's on the GUI and use it.
And I have a friend who has a high DPI, so and I'm sure he'll be willing to test some stuff for us at some point, so so you can see it and actually play with it a little bit. But the other thing is, so I want to bring up, was with Hellbent, we've discussed this a lot, and that is what. And at first, you know, like 2 weeks ago, he was on with us, and he was showing some of his stuff, which was cool. But I'm like, good Lord, I wouldn't expect you to recreate QAP with all your menus and submenus, because you didn't have that anyway. It'd be a nightmare. However, drawing just those buttons, the things you had on the side that were adjusting, that's what I think would fix that. And since there's only like 5 or 6, hey, that's not a terrible idea, right? To just use GDI to draw those instead of
have 2 versions of the buttons, and if Quick Access Popup can detect that this is an high resolution, it will take the high-res image, which should be larger.
Right.
But how to detect that it is required on this system to use this? Because there's not a setting in the registry that says, as far as I know, this is a HDPE screen. And maybe there is, but I haven't found that yet.
I believe you can. Sorry, flies coming. I believe
you were looking for a solution. Is there a solution? I know.
Yeah. No, I believe there's isn't there like a _DPI or something like that? But that just tells you if the DPI is enabled. If people have adjusted their scaling, right? So I don't think that's quite the same as what you're asking for. But yeah, that's because we did in the Automate My Task, we did have 2 size settings, but it doesn't get around the issue with the DPI, and that when you have that scaling on, that is it images don't adjust, but the text does. Is that what it is? Because I always had it reversed in my head until I was talking to Hellbent. But yeah, I know that was what got me so excited about his approach, and that you're literally drawing the things, and it all works great.
Looking for DPI mentioned in the list of AutoHotkey variables. aid_screen DPI. Number of pixel per logical inch unit. Oh, it's something interesting. I haven't seen that.
Yeah, I've seen, because as an in-matrix do stuff with that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So yes, if someone can work with us, help us, because I cannot test it on my system. So maybe I could prepare a little test script just to run on someone else's machine that has this type of screen to see the result and compare what we have. Yeah.
Well, Dylan, the guy that I keep referring to, that's going to join us with our little one-off, he's the one I messaged, and he has a high DPI monitor. So,
good.
And he's a QAP user. He just hasn't used a lot recently, but he's also a QAP user. So that's why I thought he's a natural fit for this. Anyway, very cool. Trying to think of what else, if there's anything of interest I've been working on lately, other than I have, by the way, 2 Udemy courses that are almost ready to go. And we were waiting. We had been developing those like 5 scripts. One's a free Udemy course for intro to AutoHotkey. It's like FAQs before you start with AutoHotkey, things that you wish you knew before you were programming. And in that, I'm going to have those tools. And then we have a second one, which is more of, hey, it's kind of like the intro to AutoHotkey, but it allows you, it's not linear. It allows you to easily jump around from topic to topic and really compartmentalizes it. I had them done months ago, but Isaias, he had to go do some stuff, and I thought he was going to be back right away. And then I finally just said, I guess he's not coming back right away. So I'm actually working on them and getting them done, but those should be, I think, out in a couple weeks. So that'll be cool and exciting to have something new.
There's Dale on the forum that says that he has 2 4K monitors, so we could do some tests with him.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah, I couldn't remember. I knew Dale is in academia, and they tend to have some pretty high res stuff, but that's awesome.
I'm curious to see how Zoom does screen sharing when you have these type of screens. I don't know, maybe everything is very small when you share your screen.
Yeah, and to your point, Jean, I was going to say, you said at some point maybe you'll go buy one of these things that have a high resolution. Over time. I mean, remember you remember, what was it, 640 by 480? Is that what was the 20 years, 15 years ago?
480, yeah.
Yeah, it was like that was the default.
The first VGA screens.
Yeah. And they just keep getting bigger and bigger, right? With technology just getting better and decreasing the price, associated to them. But personally, to me, that it is where it gets the monitors. Like, I know Maestriath has, his monitor is enormous, and I like having separate ones, so it makes it easy to move stuff around and have them on different monitors. And I know now that's one of the things Windows 11 I think does better, is allows you to very simply. I know there's even AutoHotkey scripts that'll do it for you too, but put them in a spot and have them take up that space, and you don't have to worry about it. But yeah.
Yeah, I have 2 monitors, one vertical on the left and my main screen.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, I'll tell you, if you've never programmed with a vertical monitor, like, wow, you wouldn't think it makes a big difference, but it's amazing how much easier it is to work.
For coding, but also in Excel, when you have a long list and you want to scroll a list. So everything that is a long list, you can see much more at a time when you do scrolling, and it's very convenient. Yeah, it
is. Yeah, it's I was blown away. I didn't think I'd like it that much, and then it was like, wow, coding wise, it really helps. Awesome. Well, if no one has anything else, I got some other things I got to get back to, but thank you guys for joining on here. Thank you, Jean, for showing us. I'm looking forward to that dark mode with QAP, as well as because my suggestion came from, remember when you and I were doing the video tutorial on it, and there was one spot where we got something wasn't quite right. And we're like, well, it's okay. He's going to troubleshoot it and work it through. But I know from other tools, being able to see, what you're doing, and that's why, it changes everything when you can actually see what you're doing with that merge kind of thing. So awesome. Well, thanks everyone.
Thank you, everyone. See you next week.
Have a great day.
Yeah.
Bye.